everyone, and welcome to the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. I'm Greg Gumbel along with my partner Clark Kellogg, and we're ready to give you your first taste of all the big names and top teams that'll define this season. We're looking ahead to what should be an amazing year in college basketball, so let's take a look at the preseason top 25 poll and see who starts the season at the top of the heap. Here are the Big Five, the top teams in the country as we begin the season. The UCLA Bruins are the #1 team in the land. The Michigan State Spartans have staked a claim to the #2 spot. The Connecticut Huskies are just behind them at #3. The Tennessee Volunteers come in as the #4 team. The Duke Blue Devils round out the top 5 heading into the season. What do you think of the top 5 teams going into the year, Clark?
Those are some terrific teams, Greg, and the thing I find most fascinating about the top 5 is the number of contrasting styles we see here. These teams couldn't be more different, and I love when we have that kind of diversity at the top of the poll.
The UCLA Bruins are projected as the favorites here in the early going. They had a terrific record last season, finishing with 22 wins.
That 20-win plateau is one of those benchmarks in college hoops that immediately classifies you as an elite team. So they're going to have a tough act to follow. But if they simply play to their potential, they can reach that mark again.
The Michigan State Spartans are an interesting team in the #2 spot. They're playing in one of the toughest conferences in the nation. How should that affect them, Clark?
That'll work to their advantage, Greg, because they'll have been through so many battles by the time March rolls around, tournament pressure won't bother them at all.
The Connecticut Huskies stand out as the #3 team in the preseason poll. Certainly, they'll get a big boost from the return of their leading scorer from a year ago.
That's a big advantage for them. They don't have to spend the first few weeks of the season searching for that go-to guy. They know who he is, and they'll use it.
The Tennessee Volunteers are near the top, ranked 4th as we start the season. They bring back 4 starters, and that should pay huge dividends for them this year.
I can't tell you what an advantage that is for them. There's so much turnover in the college game these days that having 4 starters coming back is almost unfair, Greg.
The Duke Blue Devils are in good position as the 5th-ranked team in the nation. A pair of players named Mr. Basketball in their home state form the backbone of this team.
Just to have 2 players who bring that kind of confidence, talent, and winning attitude to the table gives this team an advantage that very few schools have.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your impression of that set of teams?
We've seen plenty of future national champions come out of this group from the middle of the top 25. I'm not willing to say just yet whether that is going to happen again this year, but a few teams certainly have the potential.
The Maryland Terrapins have stirred up a lot of talk in the offseason. They're the defending champs, but they're going to have a tough road to hoe to hold on to their crown.
At least they're still there in the poll. That means a lot of the experts still think this team is going to be strong. I like to see what kind of start they get off to before I decide whether they have the ability to repeat.
The Texas Longhorns have also generated a lot of interest. Everybody in last year's starting lineup is back for another season. What a difference that should make.
Absolutely. You can't put a price on having that kind of experience in your starting lineup. It's such a rarity to get all 5 back. This is an opportunity they simply have to take advantage of, Greg.
Okay, Clark, let's take a look at the teams that close out the preseason top 25 poll. What do you think of this collection?
This is a year, Greg, where I think a few of the teams on this end of the poll really stand out above the others. There are a handful of these teams that are potential sleeping giants.
The Gonzaga Bulldogs probably deserve a closer look. One bit of good news for them, they have last season's leading rebounder coming back for another year.
With that low post presence already established, they'll have a little bit of swagger heading into the season. I look for them to be sharp right from the start.
The USC Trojans are also worth keeping an eye on. I'm sure they're excited to have their steals leader returning. He was their anchor on defense.
They're getting back someone who can cause major headaches for their opponents. Having a pest like that does wonders for a team's defensive ability. They're going to really enjoy having him around.
As usual, we have a lot of new coaching hires to tell you about as we start the season. There before you are all the new coaching hires in college hoops. There were some intriguing moves made, that's for sure. The Arizona Wildcats have a lot of fans that are delighted to have a coach of his ability, Clark.
It's going to be a big adjustment for him because he spent such a long time at his previous school. He's going to have to create a whole new comfort zone for himself, and I don't think that's going to be easy.
The Texas Tech Red Raiders are a team looking to rebuild under their new leader.
He's never been to the Final Four, but he's hoping that this will be the coaching stop that gets him there. And this university and its fans are hoping the exact same thing.
We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our preseason All-Americans. There before you are the